All right, Jim, so we're going to talk a little bit about the end of the political career. And so in 1968, you ran for lieutenant governor.
I did.
Okay. Why were you motivated to do that? What was the, I know that you were the head of the legals, all the attorneys for Indianapolis. But what's the reason you wanted to go for the state level?
I was county chairman still in 68.
Okay.
68 was the big Vietnam year. And party was very royal. Anyway, the party had divided at the state level into two factions. One was really controlled by Matt Welch, and one was controlled by Governor Brannigan. And they, each of them, had a candidate for governor and for lieutenant governor. At the Democratic State Convention, Matt Welch's candidate, let me think of this for a second. At the Democratic Convention, Matt Welch's candidate for governor lost by 2 votes. And when that candidate was Richard Bodine from the northern part of the state. Did I say he was Matt Welch's candidate? He was not. He was Governor Brannigan's candidate. That meant that Bob Rock was the candidate, actual candidate nominated in the 68 Democratic Convention. A man who I knew, a lawyer from down in the southern part of the state, had been running for lieutenant governor, but Governor Brannigan, having beat Governor Welch's candidate for governor, also wanted to have a different candidate for lieutenant governor. Despite all the bad blood that existed. In 1968, Governor Welch supported a fellow named Bob Rock for governor, and Governor Brannigan supported a guy named Richard Bodine for governor. Unexpectedly, Bob Rock beat Richard Bodine by 2 votes in the convention.
Wow.
The state chairman, whose name is Gordon St. Angelo, and Governor Roger Brannigan did not want the position of lieutenant governor also occupied by a Matt Welch person. And they were desperately trying to figure out who could get the votes in a 3 or 4 day campaign, because that's all there was between the time when before the convention was to take place. And despite our bad blood prior to that, they called me and asked me if I would run, because they thought I might be able to get the votes, because I was the chairman of the biggest county.
Okay.
and I did run, and I did get the votes necessary, and therefore I ran. Scratch the therefore. So I ran for lieutenant governor. The most interesting thing to me about that run, we were in the midst of the Vietnam War at the time. And Andy Jacobs and I and a lot of others were very opposed to that war. Everybody else in the party was for it. I ended up going to every college and university, some multiple times. That was all I did during the campaign, because I was the only one thought to be safe. That is, personally safe. We couldn't send.
And how old were you? You said, so how old were you approximately at this time?
I was born in 31. I would have been 37.
Okay. All right.
And
what was the mood on the campuses when you went to those campuses?
well,
And did you speak in the auditoriums?
yeah.
Okay.
That's,
How long were your speeches usually?
I didn't talk very long.
Okay. Do you remember some of the main talking points that you would portray to the
I
students?
do not.
Okay.
I've thought about that over the years subsequent, and I wasn't talking about Vietnam. I'm sure I made more of the Democratic Party's in trouble here, and it was. We lost. There was a guy here in Indianapolis that had supported me. He was a really good supporter. He was a dentist named Robert Risk, and he, after the election was over, we had a dinner. I don't know why, but we had a dinner where everybody was together, and we're all up and sitting at a long table in front of a big crowd. I think we were at it. And he said I shouldn't have run for lieutenant governor when I was also the county chairman. I had quite enough on my plate, too much. I got up and I said at that time, had I known I was going to take the whole country down with me, I wouldn't have done it. He'd always been a supporter, and he couldn't take the joke. He never talked to me again.
So can you...
That happens, by the way, in politics.
Sure.
I've had that happen maybe 4 or 5 times.
So if you would have won lieutenant governor, what were your responsibilities as lieutenant governor compared to responsibilities of governor?
State fair is under the jurisdiction of the lieutenant governor.
What else?
Not much, but you are technically, I believe you are, I'm not positive about this, frankly. It's been a long time. Member of the legislature. You're just like the vice president. you cast the deciding vote in the case of a tie.
Okay. Is there anything else about that scenario that you want to mention? Because we can move on to that to when in 71 when you went for the,
No, I want to go back.
okay.
I don't remember discussing it, and if I did, I'm going to repeat it. When I got involved, I was involved in the Kennedy Johnson originally. In 1968. I was the only I was the only county chairman out of 92 who supported Robert Kennedy against Roger Brannigan. Brannigan was asked by Johnson in the spring of that year, people from the National started showing up here in Indianapolis. And Robert, after a lot of these memories have not been touched since then. In the spring, Johnson was running for re-election, and he almost got beat by Eugene McCarthy. And when that happened, Robert Kennedy entered the race, thought he saw an opportunity, and he did.
And what was Kennedy's position before that? Before he ran, or what was his senator?
He was a U.S. senator.
Okay. And that was out of Massachusetts, I'm assuming?
Yeah. And the Kennedy family sort of camped here for a while in Indianapolis. And on the night that Johnson withdrew, I was sitting with Ted Kennedy at the Murat Hotel. We were in his room. We had gone there. By that time, Bobby had entered the race. I told the Kennedy people that I would help them, but I wouldn't publicly do that. I would remain neutral. And on the night that Johnson withdrew, I was alone with Ted Kennedy at the Murat Hotel, and he said, "Let's go get some ice cream." So we did. Went downstairs. There was an ice cream shop on the first floor at that time, and we were just casual. We said, "Let's go back up and see what Johnson has to say." Well, Johnson said he was quitting, and Ted Kennedy and I got in my car, drove downtown. I lined up 2 law firms that had lots of telephones, and Ted Kennedy spent the rest of the night calling people and trying to line up support. As things went along, everybody in Indiana started supporting basically would have been Humphrey, and I just couldn't see that, and his position on the war was unacceptable to me personally, but to Andy and our gang, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did not publicly endorse, but I did start to work and help Bobby Kennedy.
So here is the poster of you for election. That's the then, here's the now. And here's a quick little shot of a caricature of when you started WTLC.
Yeah.
And Robinson, you said he was that's who did the art. He was one of the artists for the local paper.
Yeah.
Did you have this on your wall in the office?
No,
No.
I don't think so. Let me look.
So, Jim, this is an article that basically, if you'd like to just kind of summarize the article, what is the article about?
It's a very brief description of what happened locally in the offices in the both Democratic and Republican Party in Marion County, Indiana, in '68. Scratch that in '66.
Okay. All right, so we're going to jump forward a little bit to when you ran for city council in 1971. So what was kind of the lead up to that?
I just ran, got nominated, and lost the election in a landslide, a Republican landslide. I lost the election by 22 votes.
22 votes.
Mm-hmm.
How many votes total? Like 1 million votes or like
Oh, no.
10,000 votes or
Yeah, more or less.
out
It
of
would have
22?
been, yeah, I don't recall. I recall the margin. I don't recall. Yeah, guy
So-
named Steve West won. He was Republican. I had a friend who had become the county chairman named Bill Schreiber. The guy was really good with numbers and everything. He kept saying, "Don't worry about it." He said, "You win. You'll have to. Lugar will have to win by, I don't know, huge amount for you to lose." Lugar won by a huge amount, and I lost by 22 votes.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, it was very close.
So was this to be the president of City County Council?
It's just to be a member, not president.
Gotcha, to be a member. How many people were on the council usually, or what?
Well, by that time, 25.
Were you friends with Bert Servas at all,
Friends?
or foes?
Neither.
Neither. Okay.
I knew him.
Yeah.
We knew each other. He was, I had a partner named Bernard Landman, and Bernie served on a board. I had put him on while I was county chairman at Health and Hospital Corporation. And Bert Servas had a big interest. I think he was on the board also. Bernie used to taunt Bert Servas, but
So you ran in.
Bernie was a Republican. And
Okay.
But I had, because I was county chairman, I had an appointment to the Health and Hospital Corporation.
And then you lost. You didn't do anything else for a while, for 4 years, and you wanted to run again. 1975.
Pardon?
75.
1975. I don't really remember why at that point, but I did. And Robert Welch, a local developer, home builder, ran as a candidate for mayor. He didn't do very well. And I don't even remember, I lost by a larger margin.
Okay. So,
The first time I ran, I was running as a candidate from a district. The second time I ran, I was running county-wide.
got it. So
Yeah.
what would have been some of your responsibilities if you did one and you became on the council? How does that
I
work?
don't know. It didn't ever make it.
No, I know, but like what does the council handle as a group? What are all the decisions?
Well, there
or
is the budget.
the budget.
Yeah, and there are committees that deal with certain things like health and hospital, police force,
Okay.
and all local ordinances have to be passed by city council, and so do all the budgets have to be.
Okay, so here's my main question. You've got all of these things that have to happen in the city. All these different categories of things.
Yeah.
Could be like with environment, it could be with the streets, it could be all these different areas. Were people on the council assigned to areas, or did you just vote and organizations, there were those departments?
I was never on the council.
Well, I know, but you still understand how it works though.
Oh, yeah.
So was a person's position on the council dedicated to a specific area, or did everybody just have to vote on anything that came across the desk?
I think it was both.
Okay.
Some things were citywide, police. You wouldn't break that down geographically, I would think, because you got problems of law enforcement everywhere.
Right.
Whereas on the other hand, maybe the park department, maybe you're not on a committee because there are no parks in your district.
Gotcha. So after you lost the second time, did you ever have any passion or motivation to be in politics again?
I've never quit. It's just that I've confined it to less intense activities, particularly making financial contributions.
Okay.
And I still do that.
And probably advising a lot of people on maybe what they should do.
Well,
behind the
my
scenes.
friend Andy Jacobs, I remained until Andy Jacobs and I became friends. Maybe I told you.
Oh, yeah.
And it lasted 40 years.
Right.
He ran every 2 years for Congress through 1994. He ran that year and was elected. And stayed with him, handled all sorts of things for him.
Got it.
Up until that, and was always referred to as a campaign manager, but actually Andy was the campaign manager. And after the last 3 or 4, maybe 2 or 3, last 3 elections, a friend of his and mine, Gary Taylor, actually took over and did the work I had been doing up until then. And I also worked on the campaign and helped Julia Carson, who was his successor.
Okay. So, what I'd like for you to kind of give everybody your opinion on the political stance of present day, how things are, a little bit of your views on what's been going on, what's changed over the past 20, 25 years. I know that's a lot of area, but what do you think are the important things that you've analyzed that positive, negative, should never have happened, like those type of things?
Never what?
Like things that shouldn't even have happened. Some things that have happened that were good, some things that happened that are bad. People in certain positions, maybe with the state, maybe even with Washington, D.C.
Well, currently, I wouldn't say I'm alarmed because I don't get alarmed. But I am very concerned about the status of our federal government. The abandonment of the rule of law is serious. And I've always, I think it's fair to say, I've always been in what others would call the liberal wing of the party. Why I have been there, I don't know, but I am. And I have always, some of the big picture I mentioned earlier on that Indianapolis had turned down federal funding. Well, when I ran for chairman and when I helped John Barton, one of the things we did is we ran for federal funding for parks and other things as well, and for a more present and more aggressive federal presence here. And we succeeded, actually. I mean, you know, the Indianapolis Star referred to our group as the Young Turks.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, because we frankly just took over. We, in the early 60s, and we controlled the Democratic Party here locally from at least 62 or 3 until I don't know when. Largely, I'd say till the 90s when Andy Jacobs retired.
Okay.
And it may be the same, but I'm not there now. I don't know what's going on internally.